Silver Sable has one of the most interesting champion stories I've heard in a long time. That is because of the fact that when she first released, she was complete garbage. She basically was unusable. The setup for her damage mechanic was really awful, and the damage output was decent, but she had like no utility. Was overall just a really clunky character. And then she got buffed, and now I think a lot of those problems have alleviated themselves. I still think there are some issues with this champion, but I mean, I made 46 minutes of content on her, so there's a lot that I actually have to say on this champion, and a lot of strong stuff I want to show from her. Where do I see her being useful? I think an Alliance War, definitely. The 100% disorient passive against Science champions is specifically what I'm most interested in. And she has a lot of good options for countering the Science class. Here's the problem with that. This is the problem I have with a lot of skill champs, and it's a problem that I know the Kabam team is aware of. It's the fact that the Science class defensively sucks. So, a skill champion's value is often lower because of the fact that a lot of the Science threats that they counter aren't that often occurrent, because in BGs there's only one Science defender you legitimately place often, and that's Photon. There can be metas where Thing, Electro, Leader can be good defensively, but the only consistent one is Photon. And if you look inside other classes, you're going to find a lot of other different defenders, more than just one, that will be very frequently placed on defense. And so that is a big issue for Battlegrounds, but in other game modes, it's not as big an issue, because we're going to see a lot of fights from Sable outside of BGs, and some fights that I think are really going to show off how strong some of her Science countering utility is, and just how strong her damage, everything just about this character is. But we're going to start against the Realm of Legends, Captain Marvel, and then Rhino first, just to get a basic rotation shown off. Basically, with Sable, you're going to be placing shocks on the opponent, and when you place those mines on your special one, they're going to do a couple things. The first is that you're going to gain a fervor when you pass over them. The fervor is going to increase your ability accuracy of placing the shocks, which is going to be basically crucial to getting them, because it's only like a 30% chance on lights and mediums otherwise. And then once you have the shocks active, you go for an SP2. You want the SP2 to push them into the mines, and then it's going to place shock passives. They're critical shock passives, I should say. And those critical shock passives are very short, but very damaging. As you can see, like they were doing, one cycle was 22k per tick, and then another was 16k per tick, which is a lot of DPS. So, as you can see, like those shocks just are extremely strong. So we want to be getting that fervor on us as often as possible, which is kind of interesting how spacing works, when it determines if you're passing through a mine or not. But when I'm fighting a Science opponent, I'm just going to try to go for only one of them, just to see if her damage is good enough to do it with only one of the mines, and it was just barely, but it was definitely good enough. So 36-second Rhino takedown, pretty cool. Alright, now we're going to move straight into Alliance War fights. And this first fight is going to be a fight that I've already uploaded before, Photon on node 28. This is a really fun fight for Sable. She's going to do many different things in this fight that just make her really good for it. The first is she's almost a direct counter to Photon. On your heavy attack, not only does it not miss, but it's placing a 100% disorient passive that is going to shut down all of Photon's debuffs from being applied to you when you're hitting her. So, at that point, the only way she can actually gain pure light charges is if you hit into her untouchable, which we counter by the tracking on the SP1 as well, or when she drops a special attack, because she's going to place the overload no matter what. So, that means that Sable is probably the champion who makes Photon ramp her charges the slowest. I mean, some Tranquilize champions, probably Mantis would be like the only champion who has a strong enough Tranquilize to really get Photon to have charges slower than Sable, or just other 100% disorient champs. Either way, we go for two of the mines because of the fact that Photon has a lot of energy resistance, and we're going to have to deal with some inequity, so it is going to make it to where we do need to worry about the damage a little bit more. But I did mess up at one point in that fight. You saw where I was hitting into her miss, my tracking fell off, and I didn't recognize that fell off at the time, so she did gain charges that way. But your SP1 tracking is very long, so that's not always that bad. Alright, I'm going to fight this Void on Hazard Shift, Incinerate Poison next. As you can see, I did die to this originally. I just messed up, user errored on the fight, and I entered with very low health because it's off-season war. So we're going to heal her back up. Even with it being off-season war, I just wanted to see if I get this fight done well, so I'm going to heal her up a little bit. I have plenty of loyalty, so I don't really care. And we want to bait out a heavy from Void, retaliate with my own heavy, and then we're going to place that 100% Saurian passive. Unfortunately, we got really unlucky with the Hazard Shift debuffs on the heavy attack, so both of them placed a poison on me, which kind of just ripped apart my health. So that's pretty annoying, but as long as we can keep that Disorient active, we don't need to worry about Hazard Shift at all. Also, this is not Hazard Shift Poison Incinerate, it's Hazard Shift Poison Rupture. I forgot that's the new one. Another fun utility piece that Sable has is she can purify any non-damaging debuff when she passes over her mine, just like how she gains the Fervor. So that's going to be easier at fighting Void, because if you're in a scenario where he's going to place that debuff on you and you don't have enough combo yet, if you pass over your mine, that's another way of getting rid of it. So we saw that earlier in the fight, didn't do it there to get rid of that debuff because we didn't have the spacing, but that's okay. Drop the SP2 here, it's going to push him into the mines, critical shocks are active. Are they going to do enough damage to kill him? Looks like they are, and this is unboosted. If we're doing Alliance War normally, like it's in season, we are going to be boosting for these fights, and it's going to be even better. So, alright, now we have a pretty fun fight. This is a spot on the new Node 6, which is Arrogance and Power Thief Miss. So, what this node does is he's going to gain a burst of power every time I miss him, and then every time I reach 10 hits in my combo meter, I'm going to get faltered. So the fun thing is, Sable's Disorient turns off the entire fight. Not only is Spot going to not be gaining any spots anymore, except for when he launches a special attack, similar to when Photon gets the charge when she launches a special, we're also going to be shutting off Arrogance, which is the node that makes me get faltered every 10 hit combo. That's going to be shut off as well via the Disorient, which I didn't know if that would be the case, but it turns out it is, which is super cool. So he can't even portal block or anything. Like, this spot is just completely shut down. At this point, it's just getting the shocks going and finishing the fight. One major complaint I do have with Sable, though, which it's a major complaint, but like, you can deal with it usually. It's the fact that your heavy attack does not place shocks. So the reason I don't like this is because you want to use that heavy attack as your main significant utility piece. The problem is you're not ramping your damage piece at the same time. So weaving in your heavy attack, it's not hard to do, but when you do want to weave in that heavy attack, you're losing opportunity to ramp up your damage by using or inflicting shocks via the lights and mediums and stuff. Just a little bit of a complaint. You can deal with it usually, but it's a little annoying. So now we're fighting this Quicksilver on node 48. Spoiler alert, I'm going to die to this fight, but it is going to be completely user error, as you're going to see when it happens. This is the new node 48. It has Stun Reflect, Stun Reflect, Shock, and Bleed. So we can only shut off the Stun Reflect via Shock and Bleed, which is something that Sable has very direct access to, which is really cool. And it also has Safeguard, which Sable doesn't really care about. And here's where I'm going to die. I accidentally parry completely on accident, and I got 5 Whiplash on me now. And I'm trying to bait a special, and he just doesn't feel like doing it. And like every time it decks, he's placing a Whiplash. I'm like, come on, man. And Stun Reflect comes back. I get parried. Like, it just, the fight went so downhill once I accidentally parried him. So don't freaking accidentally parry the opponents, and then you're gonna be chilling. Like, the fight goes pretty fine if you don't mess that part up. I would definitely assign that fight again, even though I just died to it, because it was completely my fault. Anyway, here's the redo. We're entering with only 40% health, so again, if I somehow mess up here, it's just because I'm not entering with health that I should be entering with, because in Alliance War you actually boost and have high health. So yeah, again, I would do this fight again. I definitely think she's strong for it. I just wish I performed better, you know? Anyway, get the SP1 decks there. I have 2 whiplashes on me. I'm like, okay, that's fun. And here I'm gonna purify some of the whiplashes. Like they're all gone. So there's another strong suit of Sable for this fight. He evaded me, but luckily I can do that. And here I'm just like, dude, please throw the special. And he doesn't feel like it. So now I'm getting further away from my mines, which that's, you know, another gripe I have with Sable is that if the opponent does that, then you're far away from the mines and you're losing a lot of damage, losing a lot of time just because you can't get to them. But we only lost 25% health in that fight, and it obviously wasn't as much damage as we wanted. However, the good thing about the mines is that once you place them, they never go away, unless you get knocked down by a special attack into them. That's the only way that the mines actually go away. And when you do a special one, say you're in the middle of the map, and your mines are at the corner, when you place a new mine, they're all going to go right where the opponent landed. So those mines that were at the corner, all of them are going to shift towards where the opponent was knocked down by the special, which is really nice because then you're up close to them again. You don't have to worry about pushing the opponent back to the corner. So this next fight is a fight on Rage Glance, which I think a lot of the Rage nodes are not affected by ability accuracy, but this one specifically is. So we can use Sable's Disorient to shut down multiple things in this fight. Firstly, no thing rock stacks. Secondly, I don't think we're ever hitting the 2.5 damage cap because we're just using basic attacks, and Sable's damage is usually in red, but even if we did, it would get shut off. Her Rage would not trigger. At least the Fury aspect of Rage would not trigger. So, really nice fight there, really nice utility piece of that Disorient again. And yeah, she completely annihilates Thing. You just need to utilize your basic attacks because there's no reason to use an SP2 when there's no shocks to convert. Sable is going to do burst damage when she would have a shock placed and the opponent is immune to it. So, yeah, you just do some burst damage instead. And Thing's energy resistance isn't going any higher because he's locked at 2 of his rock stacks at the start of the fight, as long as you play it right. So, now we're going to fight this Photon on steady build-up, unblockable. If you heard that Discord notification, it's me, not you, by the way. So this is a fight where it's like either use a Tranquilizer or use Sable. You could technically use Crossbones for this fight, I guess, as well, because he has the ability accuracy reduction and such. I'm probably going to be using Sable for this fight a lot if I see it in season. Because it goes very well. You're going to be gaining unblockable a lot because you're purifying, which is super cool, and Photon's just not placing a lot of debuffs, which is even cooler. So there I go for the heavy attack. Disorient's back. I should be going for a special one again, but it looks like I'm going to go for an SP2 as well. I think that's going to be a bit of a mistake because we're not going to have the damage to kill her. But it's fine. We knocked her into Pure Light for him, which is annoying. And yeah, you can see Photon still is 20%. I should have gone for multiple special ones instead of just that one. And then this is where the fight is going to go silly. I throw a Relic here, and what's going to happen is she's going to just flat out special intercept me. Or, not there. It happens here. Watch this. See, she just stands there. Like, I expect her to go hit her, to go block. She just stands there and then special intercepts me. I'm like, dude, really? So, that's why if we're in season, you run invul boosts against Photon. Not only does that help if you want to push her red, but if you run into an SP2, really helpful. So, fighting Photon again. I think this is the last Photon we fight this video. I probably should have put this a bit after the Photon we just fought, but here's another one. This is again BGs this time, and this meta sucks for Sable because using space control champs against fight or flight is miserable. That goes for like Arcade, that goes for Leader as well, just because you can't manage your spacing very well when you have to dash back or be up close, or worry about being up close when you have fight or flight to deal with. So this took multiple attempts, mainly because of fight or flight just screwing me over so much. But I think this is going to be a very consistent BG's fight in a different meta. Because, yeah, this one wasn't consistent because of the fact that I had to deal with fight or flight and it was just messing me up a lot. In other metas where that's not there and you're not having metas that are really hindering space control champs, again, Sable, Arcade, Northstar, not Northstar, Leader, Sable, her value is much less mitigated. So, anyway, we're fighting this Korg here, rank 2 Korg. There's not a big reason for fighting this one. I just didn't have a lot of BG's fights, so I just included the few that I had. I don't think she's that great at BG's champion, just realistically, I don't. That's why so many of the other fights in this video are going to be outside of BG's. So, if you're a person who plays game modes that aren't BG's, then I think you're going to like Sable. And if there's ever a meta where science defenders are running rampant, I think that the 100% disorient passive that she has is just going to be even stronger. As a reminder, that disorient is only 100% against science champs. It's 40% against other classes. Otherwise, I'd probably be using it against this Korg here because it would shut off his thorns, which would be pretty cool. But anyway, because considering the fact that Korg is shock immune, we're only doing damage via basic attacks and the shocks that we would be placing on basics. That was stupid of me, but it's alright, we're fine. Here, the fight or flight triggers get an intercept there, and then the opponent is almost dead. I'm gonna go for a combo right here. Korg has a little bit less energy resist, which is nice, and he dies right here. No, right there, right there. Okay, so yeah, I mean, not a great Korg option, let's be real, but it was a kind of a cool fight. So now we're gonna fight Spider-Ham. This is only a 6-star Spider-Ham, but even if it was a 7-star version, he dies almost all the same. So just another fun little scenario of the 100% disorient passive being super nice. There are definitely metas where Pig is a decent defender. I probably should have mentioned him earlier when I was thinking of some, but I did not. Anyway, what the Disorient's going to do is mainly just prevent his evade, but I think it also prevents his Sig ability too, which is when you hit the Pig, and he can consume a nonsense to place a power sting on you. There, I didn't have the Disorient up, so he evaded, but that's just because he was being stupid and his AI sucked. Let's be real. So, anyway, he's kind of melting here. We're gonna push him into the thing right here, and the damage isn't gonna be very high. Actually, that damage wasn't that bad, because of the nonsense, but it actually wasn't that terrible. We didn't have a lot of shocks up. Again, I wish the heavy attack plays shocks. I really think that would be a cool thing they could have given her, but it's whatever. Disorient controlled the fight very well. We just had to actually keep it active, which at one point in the fight, it wasn't active, so a little bit of a frustrating thing there. But, alright, here's another fight that I did as a solo video before. This is going to be against Epoch of Pain, Cassie. And Sable can't play shocks in this fight, obviously, because Cassie is shock immune. Is shock immunity a common thing in the science class? I'm not really sure. But Sable was pretty cool for this. Mainly because I like champs on this path who don't need access to their special attacks, and normally Sable does, but when she's fighting a shock immune, you just need a couple SP1s, and then you don't need to worry about your special attacks anymore, because all your damage is coming from basics. She also has the tracking to counter miss, which is super cool. We do need to keep up the pursuit from the node for the evade phase, but they gave Cassie a node in this fight that makes it to where the node's ability accuracy can't be modified, so that's annoying because we can't use the Disorient to stop the evade. But if we manage the pursuit well enough, then it's not that big a deal. So we're doing 10k lights, 10k mediums, because every time we would place a shock, we're doing extra damage. It's just we don't have any extra damage from the special attacks. So another cool thing about this fight is we're purifying debuffs constantly, which is a blessing and a curse, because on this node, it's going to invert your controls if you purify a debuff. So it's kind of just a skill ask for me that I have to try to manage the inverted controls well enough, which I do pretty well in this fight. I'm not that bad against inverted controls, definitely not that bad at all, but sometimes it is going to trip me up, and obviously it's going to trip other players up sometime as well. So anyway, we got rid of the debuffs there, and then I have the pursuit back up, and now I just need to manage inverted controls once again. Heavy attack here. That's literally just to make her aggressive. I know the poison, the disorient's gonna do nothing, but I wanted to make Cassie more aggressive and ideally drop the special after I knocked her down, which she did, so it worked out for me. And here I need to go for parry. We have the vigilance up now. Just keep dropping the basic attacks, and here purify the power detonate, or the combo detonation I should say, which is really nice. That combo detonation is one of the most annoying things in this fight, and you don't need to worry about it at all. So again, the only thing you need to worry about is that inverted controls. I threw my special one to her block on accident because it missed actually, but Sable's special one, if you drop in the block, actually she recovers from the animation fast enough where she can't get punished, which is funny that I know that because it means I've done it like a couple times. But anyway, so that's a little fun mechanic if you need to worry about that. But there goes Cassie Lang. So now we're gonna fight Eternity of Pain Gwenpool. There's not much that's specifically a utility piece of Sable for this fight specifically, but it was pretty fun, so I'm going to include it anyway. Another fight with inverted controls that we have to manage, which I do a pretty good job of. There was a nice intercept at the start, got some nice shock RNG, and the whole thing with this fight is you're only really doing damage during your own special attacks. So for Sable, that's not that bad. You're doing a bunch of damage on your special too because of the shocks, but you're only gonna get like half the duration of the shocks, because then your special attacks are gonna be over, they've ticked for like halfway, and then you just don't really get a bunch of damage from them anymore. So blessing and a curse again, or maybe not a blessing and a curse, it's kind of just a curse if I'm being honest. But yeah, the point is Sable can manage to do a lot of damage on specials, so I did get hit by an SB1 there, but I get rid of the thing that's gonna instantly kill me, so we don't get punished for it. And here I'm gonna go for the special 2, and then we're gonna get again about half the duration of the shocks, and then the protection's back. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm at 24%, she's at 84, so now we just need to play perfect, which I'm gonna play almost perfect. Let's see. I'm going for another SB1 here. I don't really know if there was a big reason to do that. I think part of it was the power loss node was coming back, and I was like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. So anyway, going for the special 2 here, places the critical shocks, do again about half the damage, and then they're just kind of gimped. But we just need to spam some light attacks, place some more shocks, and then get ready for the next SB2. Again, another thing I really like about Sable is that once you place those mines, they don't actually go away. I dropped that special 2 literally just for the sake of losing power. We're going to go for a bigger shock cycle on my next 2 bars of power. But yeah, like those mines aren't going anywhere unless you get hit by a special and somehow land on the mine. That's the only way. Anyway, I'm going to go for another SP2 right here, which is going to give me 28 shocks, and they are doing a lot of damage. So one fight I actually just realized I didn't include for this video is Labyrinth of Legends Red Hulk, which is Labyrinth Red Hulk, so like there's not much going on, but it is a cool look. This is Sable's max damage kind of fight. Anyway, got some nice crits on the special attack there. That cruelty buff that you get from the special 2 is very potent, so it means a lot for your damage on the special 2, considering the shocks you're placing are critical shocks. They are affected by Sable's crit damage multiplier. And yeah, the SP2, if you don't get that cruelty, it's going to feel a lot worse. So against maybe some mystics or some nodes, don't necessarily use Sable there because you want to have that cruelty. Then again, I haven't like tested her damage against fights where you can't use the cruelty, so I might be over saturating that a bit, but either way. We're going to go for a couple more light attacks. Want to get the SP2 ready, and ideally Gwenpool goes down pretty soon. If you're wondering what relic to use for Sable, definitely go for a Winter Soldier. the energy vulnerability is going to be pretty massive for you. Because all of her damage is really energy based, except for, you know, her basic attacks, but you're doing the main source of damage via the shocks and stuff. So, and yeah, it's a really nice source of that. So I'm actually gonna die with her at 1% here. I don't remember how it happened. Oh yeah, inverted controls shift like right at the wrong time. So, that was a disappointing ending, but whatever. It still was a cool fight, if I do say so myself. So, yeah, a bit of a screw up there, but it's all good. Anyway, we're gonna fight this North Star next, and I'm speeding this fight up because it lasted a bit of time, but this is actually a pretty cool fight. This is on the path where you only deal damage by inflicting a debuff, and that does 2% of their health every second. So, against North Star here, we're kind of just showing off her miss counter, just how strong it is. I say that as I literally missed the opponent, but you get the idea. We're going to place a long tracking on the special one, so if we just spam that a bunch, then we're just never going to miss in the fight pretty much. So the only annoying thing is that we have to throw our specials specifically via using my medium or dashing in. I think it's like dashing in or counting her heavy, or I don't know. There's just a weird special lock mechanic in this fight. Luckily, I mean, you want to use the special one, but you just have 20 seconds to actually access it. It's plenty of time, so you just bait North Star's specials a bunch, counter them with your special one, do some side steps too. That's a really nice way of getting openings, because obviously bubble shield's a bit of a problem sometimes, but either way, this is a pretty fun fight. We're going to drop another SP1 here. As I said earlier, when you place a new special one, like to place a new mine, all of the other ones move to where the new one is placed, which is a really nice utility piece. I really like that. That's a thing, and it makes her playstyle a lot better. So North Star's got only 24% left. We do a nice little SP2 dex there, go for another SP1, so now I move my mines up closer so I can actually go for some fervors again, because we needed some fervors. We didn't really have any. So, tracking prevents that untouchable, and at this point, the fight's over. And we take him down just under 4 minutes, which, you know, it's not the best, not the worst on this specific path. Okay, so now we're going to be fighting Grandmasters Gauntlet fights, this time against a MCoC. This is a pretty fun one for Sable, because it's just going to show off a bit more power that she has with her disorient on the heavy. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty fun one. MCoC does increase his ability accuracy. It's just kind of random, like with most things that MCoC has, it's pretty random, because I don't really know exactly how he works, but I know he randomly increases his own stats and stuff. If you know how MCoC works, that's honestly genuinely impressive, considering he's MCoC. So anyway, we're going to parry heavy there. I don't know if I go for another SP1. I think I do. But depending on how many shocks I'm ramping up, I might not actually do that. And so, anyway, he goes for an SP1 there. Go for the counter. Disorient stops it. He's reducing my combat power rate by a good bit, which is annoying, but it's whatever. Here, actually, we're just going to go for it. I'm going to parry, and then we're going to, while he's stunned, trigger the shocks. And that's going to give me an attack increase on them, and he just about dies, and then he finally does. So, there we go. That fight goes down pretty fast. Next up, we're going to be fighting Weapon X in the Gauntlet. I almost decided to make this video a solo one, but I didn't. We're just going to see it here instead. This is fun because Sable really likes aggression. So if you can get some extra intercepts to where you're constantly making the opponent cross over your mines really often, you can also just play really aggro with more light attacks and medium attacks, because you really want the extra shocks. You want to be stacking up as many shocks as possible, obviously, and the easiest way to do that is just with the only way to do that is with your light and medium attacks. So if they're being aggressive with your intercepts, which you're probably always going to be intercepting with a light or medium, then you're going to be able to stack even more of those than normal. So, against this Weapon X, we need to get an intercept after the Unstoppable, and then after that, it's just about repeating intercepts until he eventually goes down. So, yeah. I drop an SP1 to his block because the game lagged, and I was like, oh, okay, that's super cool. But anyway, we need to move the mines back to his corner, so I'm going to drop an SP1 there, and then they're going to move again. And then he's going to drop an SP1. We have a bunch of fervors, so just keep the intercepts going. And that's about it. We're going to get to an SP2. At that point, all the mines are there, so once we consume the shocks on the SP2, then we're just going to need to place a little bit more. And at that point, he's going to eventually go down. Like, we have the max 30 shocks there, which completely wipe his health away. And we just need one more cycle of that. So, 10 shocks. Probably need to have close to 25 if I'm going to kill him with the next cycle. Actually, 25 is probably too many. Maybe not too many, but more than we need. So, I need to get an intercept here, which I think I'm actually just going to get with the relic. And then we're going to go for the special 2, and that's going to be plenty enough damage to finish the job. Yeah, we get caught in a dash back. Actually, we had almost the perfect amount of shocks. Probably a little bit more than we actually needed, but got the fight down pretty nicely. And that honestly was really fast, actually. I mean, we're using a skill champ against that big weapon X with a lot of that regen in like 100 seconds, I think it was. Or close to that, at least. So, next up we're fighting Thing. This Thing, he's got the node that's going to give him a Fury and then give him an Armor. And then that Fury and Armor respectively change the AI of the fight. So that's pretty interesting, I guess, but all I know is that you're kind of shutting Thing off completely when you're using Sable's Disorient, because he's going to have 2 rock stacks, and if I keep the Disorient up naturally, then he's only going to have 2 rock stacks the whole fight. So the AI shift is annoying, like especially just the passive phase, so I can do some stupid things like just throwing heavies into his block when he doesn't have a special, because I'm just going to assume that he doesn't go for it. There he like charged a heavy, which is weird, but anyway, he's going to go for a special 2 here. I almost thought I got hit by it because the game lagged and I didn't know it was happening. But anyway, now we have more of the shocks, or just the instant shock damage. It's not really shock damage because it's just energy damage because they're immune to shock. We're just doing more damage on basics that way. And then the mines themselves don't really hurt that hard. It's really just when they're immune to stuff. Because, yeah, I'm surprised that the mines don't do more damage when you walk into them. Maybe that would just been too much on defense and they didn't want her to be a defender. That could be the case, but who am I to judge, right? Anyway, we're just doing some decent damage on the basic attacks, and then I'm going to go for a special 3 here, which is going to do a burst of damage at the end of the special 3. I don't really think it was enough to be worth it, if I remember correctly, because I didn't know exactly how much damage it was going to do. And then I'm going to be able to see here, oh, that was barely anything. So, yeah, not really a big worth it kind of thing. But anyway, Thing is going to go down relatively fast at this point. The protection's up. I mean, the only way you can trigger protection in this fight is if you parry him, because you're not really hitting the damage cap, and you have Disorient even if you do. So, yeah, it did pause the Disorient. The special 3 did, so that's pretty helpful, I guess. So, I mean, it wasn't pointless to go for, because at that point, every other special would have been kind of pointless to go for. But either way. Now we're going to fight this Void. This is a really fun one. It is Power Shield Void with long distance relationship. And as I showed earlier, Sable is going to purify non-damaging debuffs when she goes over her mines. So we're going to have relatively high health at the end of this fight, which I thought was really cool because of the Purify being super good. We just need to get Void to his corner, ideally, at first. And then we're going to lose a little bit of health initially. Probably going to get a weakness or 2 on me while getting him to the corner. But now, just like every time I hit him over that mine, I'm just purifying. So really, really nice there. Am I going to go for another SP1? I do believe I go for one more SP1, and then we're going to start building to an SP2, and then you're going to see the critical shocks are absolutely absurd. So, yeah, Void is just locked in this corner. He doesn't really have a special animation that's going to be pushing him out of it. I guess the special 2 kind of does, but also has limited distance depending on your character's spacing. So, at that point, we have the mines active. I need to get them off cooldown, and then we're going to go for the SP2 here. Watch this. Where does health go? I'm not really sure. That was fun. That was maybe one of my favorite fights, just because of how stupid it was. Anyway, okay, I think this is the last fight of the video. This is going to be against Hulk Bahamet. So, Sable's pretty cool, pretty interesting for this one. Bahamet is actually, he's one of the 8.4, not 8.4, Act 8 bosses that take the longest to kill. And this fight's by no means going to be really fast. And I was also just like very much refreshing myself on how he even works, because I haven't fought this guy in ages. But it was a pretty cool fight for Sable. Hopefully you're going to see some of that as the fight goes on. As you can also see, I barely remember how his special attack animations go, so I'm going to misdex his special one so much this fight. There's a partial dex, I guess, but Sable was pretty interesting for this fight. If you purify one of the non-damaging debuffs that he has, then he is going to gain a volatility charge, which the volatility charges are kind of how he goes into his wounded state kind of thing, so that's pretty helpful. Like there you saw me, I gain another one, and at that point it's just doing the Sable things, and when he's wounded, do a lot of damage. So I need him to drop a special one here, which he doesn't really feel like doing. There he does, and then I get the Purify, so now he's going to do the Radiation Blast at the end of this attack, and I go for the parry. That's right, I go for the parry because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, but that's not until the later phases. I literally just had to knock him down when I had a removal charge, and that's all I had to do. Didn't know that at the time, but now we've got the mines in the corner. He's not gaining power, and he's super aggressive, which, like I said earlier, Sable really likes aggression, so at this point he's in the next phase now, which is super cool, and we just need to do the whole thing again. Ideally, actually dex a special one, because I swear if I had a counter for how many special ones I misdex in this fight, it would be absurdly high. It would probably be pretty funny. So here I need him to drop another SP1 soon, but I'm going to go for my own, just to dump power mainly, because there's not a big reason to go for a special 3 in this fight, so I don't want to go there if I can help it. I want to be dropping the SP2s ideally, and then the SP1s is just as a power dump kind of thing. So I couldn't get the Purify. He's going to gain an X Gamma, which is annoying, because X Gamma, if he reaches 3 of them, he's going to hurt me, and I want that to be a volatility, obviously. So I need him to drop a special 1, which he doesn't go for immediately, and then he gets another X Gamma. I'm like, okay, so I'm making this fight like so much slower than it needs to be, because I'm just screwing it up, and then I continuously misdex the special. Super cool. There got sidestepped by the AI. That's super nice as well. But I need to drop a special into his blast now, and then I'm gonna gain the removal charge. I misdex yet another special, because I haven't done that enough yet. And then I'm going to go for an SP1 here, create some distance, and then we're going to put the mines closer to the right side of the map, but not necessarily all the way there. So, yeah, this fight's just taking a while. It should be so much faster than it actually was. It's just a lot of me getting used to fighting Bahamet again. So I do think Sable's a pretty decent option for this boss, if that's where you're progressing in the game right now. And it was just pretty fun to do overall. But now he's going to drop the Radiation Blast. I get the parry, and now he's aggressive. Go for a light there, but he didn't dash into it immediately, or like I didn't time it right, I should say. And here, get some critical shocks going. I want to go for some more of those pretty soon. I'm gonna go for another SP1 though, because he's gonna auto block my special 2 here. I think at least. What am I doing exactly? I don't know what I'm doing, but it wasn't smart, whatever it was. There he's into the auto block, and I'm like, oh, well, now I just need to build up the things again. That's fine. I'm gonna get my mines back in the corner, which is kind of where I want them to be anyway. And I don't know why I didn't go counter the special there, because I want to be over my mines, because then I can get the Purify. There I got the Purify though, and we're gonna be getting him wounded once again, assuming I get the parry on this blast correct, which I do. And now he's aggressive, So that's exactly what we want, but I think the next phase is pretty imminent, so it almost doesn't really matter. And of course I'm using like a rank 3 for content that definitely was not designed for 7-star rank 3s, but at the same time, I mean, I hope you're seeing the usefulness of Sable for this fight if you're doing it with lower tier champs, or lower star level champs I should say, lower rank champs, I don't know. But we're going to go for an SP1 here, and then the mines are reset. I'm going to go ahead and purify my disorient after this guy's special 1. Well, assuming I dex it, which I didn't, so I'm probably not going to be able to now. That's annoying. But the relic isn't going to trigger the purify because it needs to be Sable that's going over it, which it's weird how relic spacing works. Like, very weird. I can't explain all of it, but yeah, you can see it didn't work there, which is annoying. But we're going to get this guy to drop another SP1, then he's going to go for a Radiation Blast, then I'm going to have an SP2 lined up, and ideally push him in the next phase, but I'm not sure if... Oh, yeah. Yet again, I forgot that I need to get a removal charge first, so there's more time wasted in this fight, as if I didn't do that enough already. So those shocks aren't really doing much damage, and here he's got 2 volatility. Gonna get the third one in just a second, and there we get it, but I get hit a little bit. I need to drop this guy's... I need to drop my SP1 into his blast. He's gonna do it right here. SP1, getting the removal charge, gain a bar of power back, which we don't really want because I don't want to go for a special 3. But it's alright. We're going to get there eventually. Oh my gosh, I misdexed another one. This is ridiculous how often I misdex this special, honestly. But anyway, we're going to go for a special 3 here because that sounded good at the time, I guess. I don't know. Go for a special dex, fail to do it correctly, but... we're gonna get this guy to do the Radiation Blast, counter it correctly, and then go for a special 3. So purify. He's got 6 of the charges now, which is way more than I need. And there, he's wounded now. Drop the SP3. Gonna do decent damage to him, and then I'm gonna skip it. We want to get to an SP2 now, which I believe we're going to. So yeah, like, we're gonna be able to blast through this whole phase in one cycle. It's just, I wish I did that when I actually had the removal charge, because that would have made it a lot easier to do. So now he's in the next phase. My shocks are actually paused, which is pretty funny, because normally you're never going to have that pause from the special 3 still active when you're getting to 2 bars, but because of how aggressive I could be, I was able to do that, so I found that really funny, actually. Anyway. At this point, we're playing ping pong with the Radiation Blast, and every time we do that, his resistance is going to go down, and then eventually, he's just going to go down. It's just a matter of time. There's another special 1 misdex. Oh my gosh, dude. This is ridiculous. Relic here. You need to gain that volatility, which we do. He's going to go for an SP1. I don't get the purify, but I'm going to in a second. Look at that. Look at me dex the special 1 correctly. That's insane. So, here, another SP1 out of him. I do a partial dex. He goes for the blast thing, and then I'm going to go for some shocks. Here, go for the special 2, and we're going to place 12 critical shocks. They do okay damage. He's still got some damage resistance, and he's still got a lot of health left because it's a very large boss, still with 10% health. But one more special 2, and the fight's going to be basically over. Unfortunately, I do need to dump my power for an SP1, otherwise he's going to block my special 2. Unless I guess, well, no, he's stun immune, so I can't even do it during the stun. Anyway, I need to go for a special 1 here, and then... I don't know why I'm not going for a special 1 here. Do I just not recognize the auto block? Maybe I just am stupid and I don't recognize the auto block. I don't know. Here, he's going to go for... Okay, I missed a parry, I guess. Anyway, here we're going to go for the special 2. He does auto block it, which is super cool, which doesn't trigger the passive shocks. And I'm like, okay, can you please die, man? Like, I'm making this fight look so much worse than it actually is because I just suck sometimes. And then he goes for a special 2 here. I'm like, I don't even know what this animation does. Okay. Well, he does the Radiation Blast at the end. I'm like, okay, please die. Please die. I get intercepted somehow. I'm like, dude, if I die in this, I'm actually going to lose it. But no, he goes down, finally. That was like a 9-minute fight. It should have been like 6 or less by far. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Overall, Sable's a really cool champion. Again, it just goes back to the fact that I wish Science had more defenders for her to show off her utility pieces against, because that Disorient is so strong against Science champs, but against other classes, it's just 40% isn't reliable enough, especially when you're not even getting shocks out of the heavy attack to, help build up your damage a little bit. But yeah, there's so many cool things for Sable to do in this game. I hope this video really showed that. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, please leave a like, a sub, and whatever, all the YouTube things I'm obligated to tell you. And I'll see you in the next video.